I strongly believe that every guy that is successful has to have that James Bond mindset. And that mindset is that you have to have an obsession with a mission, right? If you do not have a mission, you're gonna have so many distractions in your way. James Bond, he comes around different distractions, whether it's family from the past, girls, right? Girls. He has those, that's like the number one distraction. But no matter what, right? They betray him, they die, whatever. He is so obsessed with his mission, so damn focused that nothing takes him away from that. And I think that's the characteristic, the mindset that you need to have to accomplish any goal you're going to have. First and foremost, like most men in this world, their mission is to get a girl, which is the completely worst mission that you can have, right? That's the fastest way to become a loser, to just waste your life. If you focus on the mission, you always get the girl. If you focus on the girl, you lose sight of the mission, right? That if getting a girl is your mission, you've lost sight, right? You're lost. And you feel that. You probably feel that. If that's you right now, you're probably thinking like, what am I doing in my life? And then you're overly like on your girl, right? You're just like, what are you doing? What are you up to? Da, da, da. That's not manly behavior, right? Your girl should be asking you that. What are you up to? What are you doing? And if she knows that you're on a mission, she should just like be like, he's working, right? If you have so much time that you're constantly hanging out with your girlfriend, you're constantly texting back and forth, you do not have a mission, or you're not serious about your mission. That's what makes men successful. And that's the mindset that men need to have to accomplish a good, successful life. I've done the complete opposite of that in my 20s, in my early to like late 20s. And I think I switched over in my late 20s to early 30s, where I'm like, no. What am I doing? I've been girl crazy since I was like forever, right? Since like birth, I was girl crazy. It gets you nowhere. You look back and you're like, yeah, I've been with some beautiful, sexy women, and that's great. But at the end of the day, when you're on your deathbed, you're gonna be like, well, was that my mission? It leaves you very empty, right? There's no sort of substance to that. What did you build? What did you accomplish, right? Nothing. You just experience. You're just pass through. You're a ghost. You have to build something. You have to have a mission, and you have to be obsessed with that mission. And that's the James Bond mindset. So don't lose sight of that. If you want to be successful, take that on. And of course, there's a ton of other characteristics, like a ton of other things that you could list off from James Bond that make him successful. And I could make a ton of more videos about that, but we're going to focus just on the mission-driven mindset of his. But don't lose sight of what you're doing. First and foremost, you have to define what your mission is, and then just obsess over it. There's a quote that says, find what you love and let it kill you. That's exactly what James Bond does. He loves his license to kill. He loves the mission. He loves getting things done for MI6. Whatever your mission is, whatever you want to do in life, you have to be obsessed with it. There's a documentary, Pumping Iron, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he talked about when he was at the gym, he didn't like chit-chatting. He didn't like people talking. He says if someone called, he was not distracted at all, right? He was focused on the mission. His dad passed away, and his mom was like, hey, are you going to come to Austria for the funeral? And he's like, what? I'm not a doctor. I can't bring him back to life. I got a Olympia to win coming up in a month or so, and I need to focus on that. That's the mindset of successful people. You have to be obsessed with the mission. James Bond literally puts his life on the line for the mission. And now you guys are thinking like, this is a fictional character. Like, this is not a real person. Well, Arnold is a real person, and his career in bodybuilding was real. He put his life on the line. And you're probably thinking, how? People that are professional athletes, believe it or not, it's not healthy, right? They're pushing their body past their limits, right? They're taking PEDs, like Arnold in bodybuilding was taking PEDs, which could have taken a toll on his heart on his organs and his overall hormones. And he could have died, but he was like, I want to do this. I am mission driven. This is what I want to do. So there's a lot of breadcrumbs. You could study any successful person through history, and you know that they were never like, oh, I'm gonna balance this with that. It's no. It was, what's the mission? And nothing gets in the way. Nothing gets in the way. So anyways, stay mission driven. Find your mission. That's what I've been what I focused on in the last 3 or 4 years, and it makes everything else so much more easier. Relationships, it makes them easier because you're able to create. And I know people are like, well, if you're very mission driven, you must have really unhealthy relationships. Not at all. You're able to build like very defined boundaries. When you have no mission, you let people walk over your boundaries because you're like, well, this girl is the most important thing in my life right now, right? Like, because you're probably thinking like, well, I have my job, but whatever. It's not like it doesn't really bring meaning in my life. So now you're going to be like, okay, this girl can say this, and you're going to be like, well, I had this rule, but now I am getting rid of that rule because I don't want to get rid of her. Whereas as if you're mission driven, you're like, hey, I have to be in bed by this time because I wake up at this time and I go to the gym at this time and I post a video at this time and I have to, whatever your schedule looks like. When you're mission driven, you don't compromise on your boundaries. You don't compromise on your rules. And that is what a successful dude, a man, does. So don't learn this lesson way later on in life. Make sure you learn it now, apply it now, and don't waste your time not having a mission and not being obsessed with it. So anyways, just had to talk about that because it's something that I have been currently applying to my life. And I figured it could help you guys. So anyways, subscribe to the channel, comment down below what mission you guys are on. If you guys don't have a mission, just chit chat. Let's talk. Let's, put a comment down below on things that you might like, things that you want to do, you want to accomplish. And sometimes just talking to people, you kind of like, sometimes people know you better sometimes than you know yourself. Like close friends are like, oh no, you're really good at this. Because we could be our own worst critic. So maybe you could discover your passions like that or your mission in general. But anyways, subscribe. Thanks for watching.